Hello, my name is Mr. Angel, and this is the review of the HIYA, however you pronounce it, Toys Godzilla from King of the Monsters, the 2019 film. And just to take a quick look at this box over here, it's really nice. When I got this from Big Bad Toy Store, I've just been anticipating it for a few days now. I've had this on pre-order for maybe like a few months or so, maybe 2, 3 months. And from what I've been seeing on Instagram or on Twitter, is the product shots of this, and I actually thought that this looked way better than the SH Monster Arts version that came out a few years ago. But you know what? Without further ado, let's take a closer look. But before we take a closer look into the action figure, let's take a deep dive into this character's history. This is a little segment that I like to do. No. Now hold on, just before we get to the action figure, there's one segment I would like to do before... Now hold on, there's just one more segment I would like to do before getting into the action figure itself. I like to put this little segment here as a deep dive into the character's history, just to get fresh viewers and newcomers the full rundown of the character. The year was 1954, 9 years after the bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were dropped, and a war-torn Japan was still rebuilding. In order to convey to the world the sheer anger and terror inflicted upon them due to the bombings, would a monster of pure total destruction be born. Godzilla, Gojira, the Big G, made his way onto the big screen on October 27, 1954, from the eyes of Honda Ishiro. I'll spare you the details from the plot of the movie, for it's such a great watch for anyone to start out if you're just getting into the kaiju genre. I highly recommend you watch it now. But let's take a look at this interpretation. 2014 saw the beginning of what is now known as Legendary's Monsterverse, with the first installment being titled simply Godzilla, and was directed by Gareth Edwards, with a plot somewhat standard for Godzilla. Yeah, giant monster emerges, another ancient giant monster emerges, big fight, sprinkle in some human plot that derailed after Bryan Cranston got killed, yada yada. There it is. 2014's Godzilla. Getting back on track, it wouldn't be until 5 years later until we get a proper sequel to the 2014 film, with the release of Godzilla, King of the Monsters, paying an homage to the American dub version of the 1954 film. This Godzilla, taller, rockier, has more dorsal fins, meaner, still got his ass whooped by King Ghidorah, all to come back with performance-enhancing drugs to kick that alien's ass back to Planet X. It's a fun movie if you remove all sense of artistic value for any film you've ever had, ever. Yeah, the Godzilla franchise gets silly. And now we finally get to take a look at this beautiful action figure. I just took it out of the box and just said to myself, wow, I think this version is so good. And I mean, for the price point of like $43.99 or something like that, incredible. I mean, just the sheer amount of detail we're seeing. There's some paint variation. It looks like might be some dry brushing in the chest a little bit. Well, let's see if you could see it if I turn off the light. You kind of see it. There's a lot of different color variations, where in other figures I feel like it lacks. I feel like in the SH Monster Arts, sometimes it lacks. Definitely within the first phases of NECA, did the paint apps not really shine through. I think for NECA it had to really take a while for them to kind of get it all together, especially for the price point that they were charging their action figures at. Sometimes those paint, man, those paint costs can get so pricey. I mean, we've seen it with Hasbro, we've seen it with other toy lines as well, but I digress. This figure's awesome. Nothing more to say. I mean, I just took it out of the box, so the joints are probably a little bit looser, so, I mean, not loose, tighter. I think if I just play with it more, then it'll be fine, but we get no action. I mean, we get no accessories with it. We don't get any effects because this is just the standard version of Godzilla, um, without shooting any beams, any rays, nothing like that. But yeah, this is an amazing figure. I really recommend anyone pick this up before the secondary market kind of explodes with this, because I think this rivals even SH Monster Arts. I mean, look at this. There's so much articulation in this tail right now. You know, nothing seems like it's gonna break right now, even as to how like tight it is right now. But we'll go over articulation in a second. I just want to take a look at some comparisons real quick. All right, taking a look at some comparisons over here. We have the Bandai Burning Godzilla right here. This is relevant because in the movie he has the meltdown. Um, you know, so this is relevant. Then we have the SH Monster Arts 2004 Final Wars Godzilla, which is also relevant because I feel like in a lot of ways the two movies are similar between King of the Monsters and Final Wars. Um, Not complete one-to-ones, obviously, but I think there are some comparisons. We have the HIYA toys, and then we have the NECA original 2014 release of Godzilla, and you could just straight off the bat just see the differences. There's a lot of detail here. Even in I think it's more prominent within the legs too. Like let's give the spotlight here. Wow, that's stark difference. There is so many just more plates and more detail within those plates going on here than in here. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still stuff here, but just the sheer detail and precision that we see within this leg right here, you know, it's leagues better than this. I mean, you know, for what this was back in 2014, you know, this was kind of it, you know. This was all we got with Godzilla and highly affordable articulated toys. You know, and I mean, NECA was cheaper. It still kind of is. It is cheaper than HIYA Toys by just a little bit, maybe like 15 or so dollars, maybe even like 10. So it really is just dependent on what you want. You know, I do you kind of want like the more convenient NECA? Do you want the collector value of the HIYA? I mean, there's a spot for anything in your collection, but just straight off the back, I think that HIYA might just set a new standard, you know, or it might just like kind of reinvent the game, you know. I mean, high praises, but you know, for this level of detail, for the price point, I mean, it's crazy how awesome this action figure is. I mean, Lord. And you know, let's take a look now at the 2004 Final Wars version. I mean, I haven't looked at this guy in a little bit. You can see the size difference. I mean, maybe if I put him up straight. You know, there's still a bit of a difference, and I think it could work in scale. Like if you want like a Godzilla fight battle, or if you want like just kind of a Goji history, you know, you can. I don't think scale necessarily matters when it comes to Godzilla, because of how different his size is in every interpretation of him. I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong way how to display or anything like that, you know. It just depends on what you want. And I think to put it to scale would be hard because the 54 version would have to be like a 3-inch figure like that, or, you know, and then the Godzilla Earth would have to be like a 20-foot version, but I digress. I mean, let's take a look. I think, truthfully, I do think SH Monster Arts has the better better paint apps. I mean, this isn't really a great example because with with the 2004 versions, there isn't a lot of variation that's needed. Um, but there are small details like within these claws. Let's see if you can see the eye. The camera's not picking up the eye. Let's try to adjust it. Nope, not working. Nope. Hold on, maybe. No, it's still not working. Anyway, if you get a copy of this Godzilla, if you get a copy of the 2004 Final Wars version, you will see a lot of different things that they do with the paint and the detail within that paint. Like the eye right here, you can't see it on the camera because it's not picking it up, but there's a few touches of red and orange, and I think it pops when you're looking at it directly, and sometimes it's like a subtlety in it where it throws you off guard whenever you see it. But you know, and within the toenails themselves, there's a natural look to it, like as if it is a kind of like an animal that's that has gotten its claws dirty and does get its claws dirty for whatever reason, like hunting or fighting as he does in the movie. Let's see, what else can we choose? Ooh, even in here, like there's some pink and like peach in the mouth here to separate that. And this is more so just like a glossier, like deep red, wine red maybe. And even in the teeth, there's some. I'm not gonna point it to the camera because it's not gonna pick it up. But if you get a copy, there's a lot of grime within the teeth. There's a lot of detailing, like shading and just different, like I guess wear and tear. Yeah. Detail. You know, it's kind of not fair to compare these two as they're different designs, but and especially because this is a CGI interpretation of the character and this one is the traditional rubber suit. I think if you look at it as if though this is a rubber suit, I think you can really, or if you're looking at it at the perspective that this was made from the interpretation of a rubber suit, then you could really see like those little details in it that kind of like are accurate to what it looked like in the movie. I don't think there really is any fancy artistic or artist liberties in this. I think it's just full on just the suit. Like I don't think there's any added or subtracted details from what the suit looked like, or if there's anything added, like maybe muscle definition to make it look more realistic or more like animalistic. I don't think so. I think this is a really good interpretation of this suit. But if we're gonna step aside and put this guy back in the spotlight, 2004 kind of taking his steam right here, am I right? But this is not a review of the SH Monster Arts. This is the HIYA Toys. But looking at this one, if you're gonna look at this as the CGI interpretation, then you know it does it very well. Especially with posture and how not limited, but like how the articulation works within the torso. You know, I think for this version, it's somewhat hard to get him into as many poses as you would with this guy, because this guy was jumping around, doing flips, and swing his tail around, and this one is more kind of just grounded. He fights like an animal. He you know, he's not gonna be jumping around. You know, he'll swing his tail, but he's not gonna be coming at you with jujitsu or kung fu or any of what 2004 was doing, man. But yeah, two different versions, but from two different companies. They both have their pros and cons. I mean, it's hard for this level quality to point out the cons because, I'm used to collecting legends. I'm used to collecting multiverse. I'm used to collecting, you know, fairly cheaper action figures. And then when you get the occasional like $100, $45 um action figure that isn't like a rare legend, then it's kind of hard to find like real critiques about it. I think the real critique of this is that the joints are too stiff right now. But that's for right now. I feel like also just in general, whether it's SH or NECA or HIYA, I think, oh no, I didn't even see this. This is bent right here. That's not supposed to be bent. Yep, there's a complaint. Oof, that's not good. Nitpicking the tail isn't accurate. It's supposed to be sharper. Also, I feel like anytime I'm gonna grip this, I'm just gonna puncture my hand and bleed all over it. I think, all right, getting back to what I was saying, I think any figure, whether it's NECA or SH Monster Arts or HIYA, just for articulation and posability, I feel like I want to do more with this. I feel like anytime anyone tries to do the torso of the 2014, 2019 Godzilla, it's hard to pose him like fluidly. It's hard to pose him in any other pose except for like this. It's just a little frustrating, but I understand, He's a bulky guy. He's a big boy. He's a big lad, but yeah. So, to wrap it up, the final thing I'd like to do is say how much or where this can fit in your collection. I don't have many shelves dedicated to Godzilla since I have only recently just gotten back into it, but I think if you were to do an homage like this with a bunch of other Godzillas and a bunch of other Daikaiju, could put them right there. Right with the other guys, the usual suspects. You can put them there, Again, it's been a while since I've been consistently collecting Godzilla, so it's been a bit difficult to really get my hands on a lot of these action figures. I don't have a light here as I do with the other action figures, but I think another good place to put them would be with, I don't know, maybe a Japan shelf. I have a few Gundam here. I have a couple Gundam. I have King. You can't really see it, but I have the 2016 Godzilla right there from Shin Godzilla. I have the 85 Godzilla, Chun-Li's, Zelda, and Ava. So I think you could fit right there. Right there. I'm not going to put them right here, but this is just kind of a missed shelf right now with Godzilla and Godzilla Jr. If you want to have fun, you could have your Big G from 2019 with the little Godzilla. So what do I think? Because I consider myself an action figure stockbroker. What do I think the value of this guy is going to be? I think he's going to jump high in value. I really do. I think you could see him in the future, near future, even going for like maybe more than $100. I think that the secondary market is going to try to take full advantage of how articulate and how detailed this action figure is. And I haven't looked at the secondary market just yet because I got this for retail on Big Bad Toy Store, but I think they're going to be crazy right now. I genuinely think that this might even go upwards to $200. I think this is going to be a very high valued action figure. This is not like NECA type, because NECA usually remains relatively constant. You might see a dip here and there. You might see a little bit of a rise, but with NECA, it's not as detailed, it's not as articulate as this right now. This is like, again, like I said, I think this might be game changing. This is a crazy action figure. So if you can find it on Big Bad Toy Store, if it's not sold out yet, please get your hands on it as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. I'm Mr. Angel, and you have a good one.